This is the City of Southfield regular meeting of the Planning Commission. Today is May 22nd. The time is 6:30. We will start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Payson. Can we have a roll call?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bowling?
Ms. Bernuti?
Present.
Ms. Goodwin-Dye is excused. Mr. Griffiths is excused as well. Ms. Gruber?
Present.
Mr. Martin?
Present.
Mr. Willis?
Here.
Dr. Stevens-Gunn?
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum to conduct business today.
Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Can we hear a motion for approval of agenda?
Is there a motion? I make a motion to approve the agenda for for the City of Southfield regular meeting of the Planning Commission for May 22nd, 2024.
Their support?
Support.
Been motion and supported. Also, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's a unanimous approval. Mr. Payson, announcements and communications.
None at this time, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to take a second, first of all, to introduce myself. I'm Robert Willis. I am Vice Chair, taking the place temporarily of our chair. And we have a section of public comment. And I'd like to just read that to control anything that may happen with public comment. And that is, a person addressing the commission shall be limited to a period of 3 minutes unless such period of time is extended by the presiding officer or by a majority vote of the commission. The following rules are enforced: that no speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, or planning commission member that is unrelated to their duties. Employees or no person shall be abusive or threatening toward any other individual when addressing the planning commission. When you have an opportunity to speak, if you're asked, we will assume that you have read and understood that announcement. Then, Mr. Payson, can you tell us about our first item, MDOT Michigan Shared Streets?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We are having a public input session here, this first item. We've been given approval by City Council to apply for a state grant. It's a one-time grant that they're offering up to $200,000 with no match for improvements to Shared Streets and Spaces grant. One of the things that includes, there's a variety of things this funds, but one of the things that includes is transit stop improvements and sidewalk connections and things like shelters, lighting, signs, bike racks, repair stations, sidewalk extensions, the key walks, trash cans, benches at bus stops. So we've been spending the city, around $100,000 a year for the last few years after we did our plans, doing improvements to trails and pedestrian respite stations and transit stations, or transit bus stops, and we're budgeted to do that again this year, but this would give us like 3 times as much money as we usual. This would give us another $200,000 to spend, would accelerate our program by a couple of years. Kind of allow us to catch up. So the application deadline is June 7th, so we're trying to get some public input. It was talked about at the Arts Commission, it was talked about at City Council where they gave us permission to apply. It's going to be talked about at the City Center, I think, also. And then we did put out a notice in the paper and put it on the agenda for the Planning Commission just to try to get as much as we could. This also was talked about at length during the non-motorized pathway and public transit plan that was developed in 2012. I actually highlighted a section from that plan talking about improving bus stops with key walks and benches and trash cans. So we've been talking about this for a few years. Then a couple of years after this, we did an actual transit stop study in 2019 where we identified the conditions at all of our transit stops in the city and prioritized them based on ridership, sidewalk access, and the amenities that were already present or absent. And this is what the map we've been working off to do the improvements over the last few years. I also note this got folded into the updated community master plan that was adopted in 2022. As you can see, we had bus stop improvements specifically discussed in Chapter 8. You actually see one of our improvements in the top right there. And then in the left, it was actually our 5-year plan for doing improvements. So we really kind of, from 2012, we've really been building this up, and we're in the process of doing it now. This is just a summary of what we've done in the last couple of years and what we're in the process of bidding out right now to do. So if you look at the green dots, that was 2022, we did 13. In 2023, we did 23. And then in 2024, we're doing another 21. And 2020, that's actually in process. That's been bid out. We've got the bids back in. They're going to be installed this summer under this budget. The FY 24-25 budget has a similar amount allotted for it. But if we could get this additional 200 grand, we could really accelerate this program another couple of years and really catch up to that 5-year plan that was in the community master plan. So we just wanted to introduce this and then open it up to see if there were any public that wanted to comment on it. And this, admittedly, with grant applications, sometimes you got to check the boxes, and trying to get public input on your grant application is one of those boxes you have to check. So we'd love to hear from the public if there's anybody who wants to comment on this. Because we've got to get that application in by June 7th, and they only announced it like a month and a half ago. It's usual they give you like 2 months to apply for a grant. They want public input, so we just put it on every board's agenda that we could put it on to try to get that as best we could. I think also the fact that we did that transit study in 2012, or that non-motorized study in 2012, and we did the master plan, was in the master plan that was updated in 2022, which also had public input. We're going to reference that as also public input in the plan, because really at this point, we're implementing it. The plan's been done. So this is just another chance to leverage that. So I don't know, Mr. Chairman, I would ask, like, if there's any comments from the commissioners, we'd like to hear those, but we'd also like it to open to the floor if any of the public would like to comment.
Then I will do that now, open the floor to the public. If anyone would like to comment on item D, the MDLC Michigan Shared Street Space Program, you'd have an opportunity to do so now, and I would invite you to the mic. The floor is open for anyone who would like to comment. I see no hands. Then we will close that opportunity to comment. Commissioners, any comment?
Yes, thank you. I would like to congratulate MDOT for this, because along Evergreen, which is the way that I walk a lot, to have those benches there, it's very, very important. Whether you're just stopping for a break or walking with someone else, it's really such an improvement for our city, and for you to be able to add more of these around the city, I think it's just a win-win situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No comment.
Commissioner?
I think it's very nice for MDOT to be able to have some place for pedestrians to sit while they wait for their bus. We know no matter how much you schedule or plan, you're not going to be on time all the time. And I think it's nice for people that are using public transportation to be able to sit down and wait on the transportation rather than to stand there in the rain and the snow, whatever, be able to at least have some comfort. Thank you.
Commissioner Stevens?
I think that the application is going to be very strong, given that it fits right into what the master plan talks about. You're supporting your request based upon the current things that you have in process, as well as the things that have previously been done. It also looks at the commitment that the city has currently made of $100,000, so this will be in addition to that, and it looks at how it will accelerate the city's current transit stop improvement program by 2 years. I think those things are going to be very impressive, especially if this is a competitive bid.
Thank you. My only comment is to recognize the prior statements, but I think as we transition to a less car-centered city, this is an absolutely necessary step. I'm glad we're doing it, and I think we're going in the right direction. So, Commissioners, any further questions?
No.
And Mr. Payson, any?
Yeah. We would ask that, we do have a resolution that we provided you, just supporting the application, that we would ask if you would enact, if you're in support of it. It was in your packets. It's a little long, it goes on with the whereas, it's basically describing much of what I've already explained, as we have done a transit study, and we've done a survey, and we've put this in our master plan, and we have expended funds, we have an ongoing program, that this would be, in support of us applying and being awarded this to continue and accelerate that program. Pretty much right out of Planner Crode's letter asking for the council's permission to actually apply for the grant.
Commissioners, hearing that, can I hear a motion?
I motion that the planning commission accept the proposed, let's see, what is it called? Resolution? Is it a resolution?
Yes,
The
yes, ma'am.
proposed resolution for the transit stop improvement grant application. And I second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That would be 100% in favor. And Mr. Payson, I thank you so much. The next agenda item is 18330 George Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is for a site plan approval for Phase 2 of the McKinley School Residential Unit Development District. I believe it's actually called McKinley Place now. The renovation of the historic school building is, some work's been done there. They've got a new roof on it. They've done some interior demolition. They're just about ready to issue interior work permits for that. And they are getting ready to actually start the project for the Phase 2, the two-family units on the site. And when the Residential Unit Development District rezoning was approved, they approved the site plan for Phase 1 as part of that approval, the council and yourselves. But Phase 2 approval was reserved to when it was ready, because they just wanted to be sure it was consistent with the master development plan. So just looking at the area, you've got current zoning, residential, there's a little bit of business and office to the north and to the east, which is consistent with the future land use map, local mixed use, commercial, and low-density multifamily, and then moderate-density single-family. Just a site aerial showing the existing situation. I believe the giant modular school building is now gone. I believe that's been demolished already. This area is a couple of years old. Let's see if we can get to the next slide here. Some photos of the site facing Continental and Capitol. And here's the actual overall site plan. The shaded area to the right is the Phase 2. That's what's before you today for consideration. This was reviewed against the master development plan that was approved with the residential unit development district rezoning, and it is consistent with that master development plan. There were very few changes. Some minor, just I think a little bit of curb line tweaks, stuff like that, but the number of buildings, type of building, location of building, style of building, all consistent with the original approval of the master development plan. As you can see, it's a Tudor style for the two families. Garages face the interiors, brick. These are 3-bedroom. They got kitchens and living room on the first floor, garage, and then the 3 bedrooms are upstairs. You got a master bedroom and 2 standard bedrooms. There's a couple different types of units. There's 2 types of buildings, the type 1, type 2 unit, and type 3, type 4 units. And here's the landscape plan showing the green areas. You got lawn, foundation plantings around the buildings, and then trees in the open areas, fairly consistent with a residential style. And then we do have, I believe, is the petitioner present? Someone present from Contour?
Good evening, Anthony Arabor. I am the site manager at Contour Development.
Could you give us your address, please?
My address is 29309 Willowwick Court, Southfield, Michigan.
Thank you.
And yes, we are seeking Phase 2 approval for the site plan. I am on site every day, and it's a beautiful neighborhood and an exciting project to be a part of on the Southfield. native. My parents have lived here for 35 years, and I am so excited to be a part of this development in this capacity. And so, yes, there are many. Yes, sir.
Closer to you, please.
Okay. Yes, just excited to be a part of this development, and I look forward to any questions or comments you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can have a seat for a moment with Commissioner Benuti.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned, where'd he go?
It's right over there.
There's no public hearing for this one because it's a site plan. So if you have questions for him, you can go ahead and head
Okay.
to him now.
I don't know that it was you that mentioned at our last meeting, but you said that there would be someone overseeing the rules and regulations. You'll have to put that together. Can you expound on that at all?
Yes, well, site safety is our #1 priority. We have a safety manual for the site trades and people who come through the site. There are requirements. But are you speaking to specific to comments? This is my first time attending, so I'm unaware of what exactly you're citing, but I can speak to what
Yeah.
we,
I believe it was in relation to the fact that these are condominiums, so there will have to be condominium documents. There'll have to be a master deed and bylaws drawn up and created for the development because it is a condominium development. These will be potentially owner-occupied units.
Right.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you if you could speak directly into, I'm having a difficult time hearing you. So-
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
That might kind of have to be like right, like, not
Right.
like popping it, but kind of close.
is this
looking like-
better? Is this
Oh, yeah, much better.
okay, well,
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Commissioner Benuti, are you?
Yes, I wanted to know, are all of these going to be homeowner ownership or some rentals or?
Yes, 100% home ownership, condos,
Okay, thank you.
no
That's all.
rentals.
Thank you.
This is good.
I don't have any questions, but it's an exciting development because we need more of that kind of housing in Southfield.
Commissioner Martin.
Just for clarification, we went over this ourselves before the meeting started, but I want to make sure that I understand. The school portion that's been in phase 1 has 1 and 2 bedroom units in it, and these condominiums are all 3-bedroom units. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
The summary we have has it so that you would think that there are 1, 2-bedroom units with the condos rather than just all being 3, right?
Yes, 1, 2-bedroom units in phase 1 and 3-bedroom units in phase 2.
All what, can you tell, what, in the unit you have type 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think they are on the floor plans. Can you tell me what size the rooms are, the bedrooms? Some of them look kind of small, you know, in comparison to what you would think.
Have to defer to the architect on that question, but roughly, I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but 12 feet by 12 feet for one average bedroom, okay?
Is the architect here?
Yes.
Well, could you have the architect step up with you and maybe address the issue? Please provide your name and address for the.
Hello, I'm Holly Carroll from Design House Architecture, 3300 Auburn Road, Auburn Hills, Michigan. So the average size of the bedrooms are about 350 to 400 square feet.
I'm sorry, couldn't,
The average bedroom size, is that what you're referring to?
yes.
It's about 350 to 400 square feet.
Okay. It just, all right, that's, and what size are what's the square footage of the units then?
The overall, I can get that for you in just a moment.
Or I guess the livable space in the units? Just
So the livable space is about 1,500 square
1,500 square
feet.
feet. And I assume type 3, you have one unit that has I guess more of a bump out, and those are a little bit larger than the others.
Right, yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No more questions at this time.
Commissioner Stevens, go ahead.
I live in that community, and personally, I'm looking forward to it. The work that is going on, other than the construction, road construction, it appears to be moving along smoothly. The new windows look good in the McKinley building, so I'm really excited about it, and I'm looking forward to, hopefully next summer, everything will be occupied. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Commissioner Barton.
Is there, in the building process, you have all the plans, but are there any modifications that someone could make during the building process? Is it possible that you have someone that wants to purchase a unit, but they want to make some modifications while it's in the building process?
Yes. At this point, no, we do not have a process for that, but we can entertain that, certainly with the bylaws and whatever we come up with as a community. What are you speaking to, before the building is open or after it's occupied? Or?
Well, in thinking about it, it would be nice if someone could see it and decide that they want to make modifications to it during the building process. But for all practical purposes, I guess it would be when the building's open that they'd have to approach the builder for modifications when it's in the when the project is actually in the stage for selling. So
Yes, sir, that's my understanding.
so no modifications beforehand.
No, at this point.
It makes the cookie cutter. Yep.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. I think the last time we spoke with someone from your company, you were not quite finished with phase one. Is that part of your process complete, or do you have a completion date for it?
Well, yes, we are still awaiting the final building permit for phase one. So we have done interior demolition. We had a permit for that. We had a roof permit, and we finished the roof. But there is additional work that needs to be done, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and all that sort of thing. So we anticipate being done with that end of 2025, fall 2025.
And that's
by
when
the
you'll
latest.
start with your phase two?
No, that's when phase two would finish as well.
Okay,
So-
okay. When do you expect you expect the entire project to be finished by fall?
Yes. Fall 2025.
Okay, about a year and a half from now. Okay.
Yes.
One of the concerns we had is that you are building a condo, but we were concerned with the possibility of renters. Is there any language you anticipate in your condo association bylaws to prevent that, or is there a way do you anticipate controlling that part of it?
Yes, I will defer to the legal counsel on that. We can certainly look at that and draft that up now. That's an issue that I think is, rife throughout Southfield, renting and the issues that come with that versus homeownership. And so I, as a community resident, am sensitive to that point that you made, Mr. Willis. So certainly in the bylaws or in the program that we go forward with, that can be a part of
Okay.
a contingent, yeah.
Thank you.
in the
I
bylaws.
have no further questions. Commissioners? Mr. Payson,
Yes, sir.
any recommendation?
Yes, sir. Let me get through here. We are making a favorable recommendation of the site plan request by Contour Companies to construct Phase 2 of the McKinley Place RUDD development. The site is substantially consistent with the master development plan and development agreement that was approved as part of the RUDD in 2021. The recommendation is based on the facts, representation, stipulations on the record. It is subject to the terms and conditions of the McKinley Place RUDD Master Development Plan and Development Agreement, and the site should be developed in accordance with the submitted plans by Design House, Glasser, Bush Associates, and SM Engineers that are before you, in continuous compliance on all applicable codes, laws, and statutes.
Thank you. Hearing that, here have a motion for a favorable motion.
I motion that the Planning Commission accept the favorable recommendation of the site plan proposal SP 24-0003.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That would be a unanimous aye. I thank you so much for the presentation. Mr. Payson, it looks like our next item is going to be 19991 West 12 Mile Road, the demolition of a vacant bank branch and construction of a new Kroger's fuel station.
Thank you, sir. This is a sort of a three-part request. It's a conditional rezoning, a special land use request, and a site plan approval request to build a Kroger fuel station where there's currently a defunct branch bank at the corner of 12 Mile and Evergreen out in front of the Kroger grocery store. They are looking at hours of operation of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and 6 full-time equivalent positions. Normally there'd be, during a shift, 1 person, there'd be 2 people there, obviously during shift change. The current zoning is B2. The corner there to do the gas station would have to be rezoned to B3 because that's the zoning that permits gas stations. There is B3 zoning on the other 3 corners, so it would not be considered a spot zone. The B2 zoning district allows these uses: medical offices, banks, libraries, governments, post offices, private clubs, lodge, nursery schools, photographic studios, personal services, retail stores, restaurants without drive-throughs or bars. Special land uses in the B2 were theaters and certain other assembly uses, open air sales of like garden and yard items. Arcades, hotels, motels, restaurants with drive-throughs, bars and lounge would be special land uses, and small box retail. The proposed zoning, because it's a conditional rezoning, would normally include a lot more uses, but their proposed conditional rezoning is for exactly 1 use. They literally excluded every other use. So if you were to approve the conditional rezoning, the only thing that could operate on this site would be a gas station. Now, in the future, let's just say decades from now, if gas station was not the appropriate use anymore, someone would have to come back and get the conditional rezoning changed to do something else. I mean, a property can always potentially be rezoned. That is, the owner of property has a right to ask. They don't have necessarily a right to the rezoning, but they have a right to make a request. So while this box is in the property for the current development, the gas station, it doesn't necessarily box the property in for eternity, just for reference. But to change it again, they would have to come back through this body and the city council. But it does mean you don't have to discuss any of these other uses, because if you approve this conditional rezoning, none of them would be allowed. Site aerial, just showing the existing branch bank, the vacant CVS out in front of the shopping center. Existing conditions with the branch bank in the location. This is the proposal. There's no convenience store. It's literally just 5 pump islands, so 10 pumps, and a small kiosk for the actual pay area. Then there's a couple of parking spaces. Obviously, the inter-out storage tanks to the north there, landscaping around. There'll be a walk that goes out to the sidewalk and to the bus stop, but there'll be the required bike rack and a bench and trash can at the bus stop. This is the floor plan. So literally, you've got a cashier area, office, and a restroom. It's a very small building. It's 22.5 by 8'10". So it's a large closet. This is just a landscape plan. Most of the landscaping along the road frontage is pretty much going to remain as it is with the trees and shrubs. They're going to have to do some new landscaping, kind of where that south end where they're modifying the driveways in and out of the site to accommodate the vehicles coming in and out of the tankers. This is just the elevations of what it looks like, pretty much as you would expect, a canopy with a small kiosk building. There's the sides. And here's the rendering, so you have a better idea of what it would look like. This is actually looking at it from, I believe, the interior of the shopping center, from the Evergreen, kind of looking north. And I believe we have a representative of the petitioner present.
Thank you. If you could give us your name and your address.
Sure, my name is, excuse me, Kristen Schwalder of 725 Washington Boulevard Extension, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Thank you. And you are presenting,
Yes, so I'm with 7 Multi-Site Solutions. I'm representing the Kroger Company of Michigan.
okay. If you could add to the presentation, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Pizon. So what Kroger is proposing here is a conditional rezoning agreement for the property at 19991 West 12 Mile Road to conditionally rezone from B2 to B3 for the purposes of providing the retail fuel center. So we've previously provided some conditions to go along with that rezoning. And at our last meeting, we had some discussion, and we've provided back some comments where, we modified our parking spaces to meet the town's needs. We've added and updated some of the landscaping per the request. We've talked about kind of some of the fuel station traffic that would be generated. So studies performed by Kroger show that 60% of the Kroger retail fuel facility traffic, it's generated from existing trips to the grocery store. So these are, our loyal customers that are already in that shopping plaza. They'll be grabbing their groceries, they'll be coming over to the gas station, just a one-stop shop kind of deal. And the remaining trips would be, bypass trips. Since the gas station does not have the convenience store, it's not going to generate too many new trips. As you pointed out, we're not really modifying any of the curb cuts on the main drags, and we'll be taking the bank down, and we'll be raising the bank for this new use. Some other things we modified, we provided the trucker for the fuel deliveries, that truck route, and I think those were the majority of the issues that were addressed from last time. Some of the benefits of our fuel center, we're going to take down a vacant building, we'll raise it, put in a new use, we'll employ the equivalent of 6 full-time folks, and we'll be kind of good neighbors to the Kroger store with the Kroger Fuel Center.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would note, as was noted by the applicant, they did modify the landscape to meet the greenbelt requirements, so they did eliminate one of the 2 variances they would need. They still have the other variance for minimum building size because the kiosk is small. The minimum building size required for this district is 750 square feet, and that building's only 198. So that one's unavoidable given the nature of the use, but they tweaked that top left corner, pulled that in, and provided the minimum landscape buffer that's actually required on that corner, the 12.5 feet. They were at 7 foot in the previous version. It stuck out further, but they were able to reshape that, get that back in. And they did modify the parking spaces to meet the ADA requirement for a van accessible space. The previous version, the aisle was too narrow for a van accessible space. It wasn't 8 and 8, it was just a shy by a couple of feet. There was room, it just wasn't configured properly. We did know there was a considerable discussion at the last meeting, and when this was generally discussed by City Council, when they were just floating the idea about the interior circulation problems at the site. The response of the applicant related to that was that they would work with the shopping center owner to do some additional pavement marking and directional signage. Given the descriptions I've heard from the folks who are local who've used this facility, that didn't sound like it would be adequate. I know you've noted in your package probably that we are actually recommending postponement to a date certain. to give the applicant time to address that issue a little more fully. Because unfortunately, without it being addressed, we felt like we would have had to otherwise recommend denial. And that's, just wanted to get that out on the table as well. And I know there is a public hearing requirement for the conditional rezoning and for the special land use, and the public has arrived. We can still hold the public hearings, and it's still the commission's decision whether or not they want to postpone, approve, make a recommendation for approval, denial. That would still be your call. We just have our current recommendation would be a postponement to a date certain to try to address the circulation issues.
Okay. So the three items, we are looking at two that we can continue on, and we have opportunity for public comment.
Yeah, the conditional rezoning and the special land use, you could hold the public hearings for those, take the public's comments, discuss them, and then deliberate as to which of the three courses of action before you, what you actually want to do.
I'm thinking I should have a public.
Public hearing, yeah.
Okay.
Conditional.
Okay. Then, thank you. We will use this opportunity for public comment. And at this point, I am going to open the floor for public, and you can have a seat for a brief amount of time.
And just to keep everything correct, it should be a public hearing for the conditional rezoning, then close that one, then a public hearing for the special land use, then close that one, then deliberation by the commission, just because each one of those items discreetly requires a public hearing. It's
Then- Okay, just
Yeah.
public, number one is public hearing for,
the conditional rezoning.
Conditional-
So that's item 1 under F,
okay?
and then
sec-
under item 2 under F also needs its own public hearing.
Which is,
That's the special land use.
okay,
Yeah. Site plans don't require the public hearing,
gotcha.
but generally, folks concerned about site plan issues could comment under the other two.
With that, we will open the floor for comment, public comment, on the first paragraph on conditional rezoning. We would look for, if anyone wants to address council, could you please step to the podium, and it's a number of you. Can I ask you to stand up, and then one at a time, we'll be able to address the.
I'm sorry, my hearing's not that good. The sound system leaves a little bit to be.
I understand, I share your problem. So if you could give us your name.
My name's Doug Pinhenny. I live at 28525 Regent Court South, Southfield, Michigan. I live in Kingswood Place, which is the condominiums directly
Okay,
south of Kroger. As Yogi Berra would say, this is déjà vu all over again. We were here 6 to 8 years ago over the same thing with fuel station. I can say Lenny Taylor was chairwoman of the commission then. My objection to the fuel station is the traffic on Southfield is bad already, and Evergreen is bad already. We don't need people pulling into a service station all the time. And besides that, on the southwest corner of Evergreen and 12 Mile is a gas station. Directly across the street from it on the northwest corner is a gas station. We don't need two gas stations and a fuel station. Based on what I see of the Kroger on Greenfield, where they have a fuel station, the prices aren't going to be any cheaper of what we can get on the corner. In fact, they're probably going to be a little bit more. So I guess that's it. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I have to say, and I'm not going to change my story. I just don't think it's a good idea. Furthermore, when Kroger came and said they wanted a service station, like a spoiled child, they said, if we don't get it, we're moving. Well, they didn't get it, and they didn't move. So I guess that's it. If anybody has questions of me, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I don't, but if you're concluded, I would say thank you so much for your comment.
Okay, thank you. Everybody have a good evening.
I'm sorry, sir, what is your name?
Sir?
What is your name?
Like I said, my hearing's not very good.
Okay.
What is your name?
Yeah, my name's Doug Peneny, P-E-N-E-N-Y.
Thank you.
I signed in the sheet and all that. If anybody would like to get a hold of me, I'd be more than happy to talk to them.
Thank you so much.
And I appreciate everybody giving me my say.
Okay.
about the rest?
No, let's go with next person.
Okay.
And then they may not want to.
Yeah.
Okay. Next person, if you could give your name and your address?
Yes, my name is Habib Shamami, 29570 Meadow Lane, Southfield, Michigan.
And your comment?
My comment is definitely no for another gas station on the corner. Question is here, I was told before, I own the gas stations across the street, and I was told if they tried 3 times, well, they got deep pockets, they could keep trying. But 3 times they were denied, and they cannot come back again. So definitely they coming back after I spent $500,000 remodeling one of the stations that known they not coming back. So I don't know what's changing here. I mean, I've been in front of the council 3 times already, fighting not to bring a gas station here. Some of the council people said, over my dead body, we're gonna put another gas station in the Kroger because it's so crowded. So what's going on here? I don't even know. Is the law let them come back? I have no idea. I mean, I would be careful before even I take even their application, because I was told the law that would not allow them after 3 times they were denied. I don't even know what they're doing here. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know who said that.
And next person? Again, so you have 3 minutes, and could you identify yourself, your name, and your address?
Yes, my name is Calvin Boylston. I live at 20123 North Lockmore Drive. I wanted to say that I don't think that it's a good idea for another service station there. As he was saying, we have 2 already, 3 would make it more congested. As representative of Kroger said that 60% of the service that people they would serve would be people already in Kroger's. It's the other 40% that's going to be added to that intersection. I go to the Kroger's on Greenfield. It's on a straight roadway, so it's not that hard to get in. But when you put an intersection there, you have so many cars coming through back and forth, and it's already congested. So I think it's a bad idea to put another gas station there. I know people want the savings that they get, but not too far on Greenfield, you can get the same thing. And like, as I said, it's not at an intersection. That intersection brings, excuse me, cars in from all 4 ways, north, south, east, west. And I just think it would be more congested. The 40% that aren't shopping is going to be added to that congestion at that intersection there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You have 3 minutes. Could you give us your name and your address?
My name is Wanda Carter. My address is 28405 Berkshire Drive. I'm in the Kingsley Estates, which is just south of 12 and west of Evergreen. Excuse me, Evergreen. As we've already stated, there are already 2 gas stations at that intersection. Another one is not needed. I can't think of any other intersection in the city of Southfield that, excuse me, has 3 gas stations on one corner. I think that would be overkill, bringing additional traffic into our area. So I do think this is a very bad idea for the reasons that have been stated previously. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
And for the next person? You have 3 minutes, and could you give us your name and your address?
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ken Morocco. I live at 28476 East Larkmore Drive in Southfield, Kingsley Estates. I've been a resident there for about 34 years. I know I look young, but I've been there for 34 years and a resident of Southfield for over 40. I'm dead against it. I have no axe to grind with Kroger's, none whatsoever. But that intersection that I live with every day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day I have to go through, is just congested as it is. There's a problem. I think the fact that we were told that there won't be any more curb cuts means, well, okay, that's good, but not really, because all of the additional gas buyers and shoppers are now going to be captive in an area where they have only two choices to leave. One is to turn out onto Evergreen and to the boulevard, and I don't know if any of you have ever done that, but if you want to come back this way, you have to cut across and say your prayers and then make the loop and come back. And if you go over 12 Mile or past 12 Mile, Evergreen goes down to one lane. Any more congestion in that area, we're just asking for trouble. Now, my backyard backs up to Evergreen. I can see right through onto Evergreen Road, and tonight the traffic was backed up to where my house is, 4 blocks from 12 Mile. There's enough congestion. There's enough there now. Just because you got room for a gas station doesn't mean you need to put one there. We've got two. No, absolutely not. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I thank you. You have 3 minutes, and could you give us your name and your address?
My name is Jeanette Eisenhower. I live at 28459 Fontana, right around the corner from the two gentlemen that have already spoken, and I agree with them that we do not need a third gas station there. It's a very busy intersection, and as I mentally went through the intersections in Southfield in my mind this afternoon, I could not think of any other intersection that has 3 gas stations. 2 seems to be the max, and I think that's perfectly fine for our intersection, and I would not appreciate this being changed to make a 3rd gas station. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there anyone else?
Yes, sir.
You have 3 minutes, and if you would give us your name and your address, please.
Okay. My name is David Williams, and I live at 20216 North Lackmore. My subdivision is the beautiful Kingsley Estate. Every year, we are always in the running for the best subdivision in Southfield. My fellow complainants have mentioned quite a few objection reasons. Mine is environmental. This will cause more fumes in the atmosphere, and I remember the fight for 12 and Southfield about not accepting Walmart to come in. Now, you look back, we are thankful that Walmart isn't there.
Can you hold on, please? Would you please meet outside to talk? You're disturbing us all. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. And I have 5 extra seconds. Thank you. And Kroger has not been a supportive or good business companion with our neighbors. And I can honestly tell you that most of Kingsley Estate residents, 70% don't go to this Kroger because for the last 15 years, we've complained, we've spoken to the mayor about the utter disrespect of the neighbors. And I can honestly tell you that 12 and Evergreen Kroger is the worst in the city of Southfield. I also go down to the one on Greenfield. It's cleaner, and they have more supplies. So to go back to my point, adding a gas station with a company that doesn't respect or listen to its neighbor in fixing or updating, instead of building a gas station, they should spend the money and update the grocery store there. Last but not the least,
You have 15 seconds.
sure. Last but not the least, I think that on Covington, there is a open space which has already been called for, and that is an additional congestion when the owner of the healthcare build their facility. It is because of COVID, they haven't even done that, but this body has approved them, and that adds more congestion. So the place is already congested. So I hope you kindly listen to us, and hopefully you will make the best judgment for Southfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others like to make a comment?
Please understand, sound echoes from the back of the room and makes it hard to hear up here. So if you have to have a conversation, please step outside and do it. Thank you.
My name is Bill Eisenhower. I live at 28459 Fontana Drive in Southfield. I am Jeanette Eisenhower's husband. Lucky to be. We've been residents of Southfield since 1976, and we've watched the city grow and prosper. We watched that corner of 12 and Evergreen grow and prosper also. And looking at the map up there, I'm concerned about the congestion. You've got an ingress and an egress on this side, an ingress and an egress on the other side. Pulling in may not be a problem. Exiting, since you can only exit south out of the footprint, you're going to be exiting right into the traffic that is already in the parking area there to the north of the Kroger. Pulling out to the west to get to Evergreen, you're going to be head-on into that northbound traffic. And as it was commented earlier, if I wanted to come out of that footprint and go south on Evergreen, I'd have to take my life in my own hands, pull out, and try to get across to that turnaround on the other side and go back south. I'm concerned about the congestion, and I think this is a case of overkill. But thinking ahead, I've watched that Kroger store struggle at times. And now we have a brand new one down at Greenfield and 11, which is competing with that store. What happens to that footprint of the fuel station if that Kroger goes out of business? That's a consideration.
You have 1 minute.
That's my comment. Thank you very much.
Sir, before you go, I'd like to thank you for your service.
It was an honor to serve. Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, if there are any more presenters? And again, sir, your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, Robert Thompson, 28445 Fontana Drive. I've been a resident of Southfield for, I think, about 50 years. And I'm in favor of having a Kroger gas station located at 12 Mile and Evergreen. And mainly because their prices for gas are much lower than anybody else's. And I just prefer to shop at Kroger's. I've been a Kroger gas customer for probably 40 years, or 30 or 40 years. And I would appreciate having a Kroger at the corner of 12 Mile and Evergreen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
And you have 30 seconds if you can give us your name and your address.
30 seconds. Hi, my name is Cornelia Brown. I live at 28436 Stafford Drive. And as many of my other homeowners from Kingsley Estates have mentioned, I'm opposed to this gas station for the same reasons. And along with the congestion, as we all know that that stretch of Evergreen tends to be under construction every other year. And this is a year we're under construction, so we are already experiencing delays and congestion now. And with the addition of a gas station over there, just only will exacerbate those problems every year. And like others have indicated, that particular Kroger isn't always the best in providing the best services or having the items in which you're looking for. So, you know, that is something we probably need to consider, that Mr. Eisenhower just mentioned, that are they going to be there long-term because they have this newer and much nicer facility just a mile down the road. So that is my position. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? If you... And you have 3 minutes, sir, if you could give us your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Ronald Hall, and my address is 9263 Cumberland Court, Commerce Township.
Go ahead.
I'm very familiar with the center, and I would like to point out that there are 5 entrances into the center and 4 exits. And I know that the Kroger customers would like to have the gas station there because they save money. And I know the developer just wants to make the center better for the community. And I think that it would be much safer to have a Kroger gas station within the center where their customers can save money rather than having to go across the street and get gasoline. Congestion is a problem everywhere, and especially at rush hour. But as was pointed out in the last committee meeting, that planning session, the Kroger customers do not get gas during rush hour typically. They go and get gas throughout the day when they go shopping. That's it.
Okay. Well, I thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And again, are there other presenters who hasn't presented? That is generally not approved. So, I'm sorry.
Well, there'll be a second public hearing for the special land use, so you could always come up for 3 minutes then.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, would you close the public meeting? And at this point, the public meeting is hereby closed. It's good. Commissioner Bernuti.
Thank you. I think those who have spoken and made comments not in favor of this gas station being there pretty much have answered all of the questions that I had written down, so I really don't have anything else to add to that. I'm very concerned about the traffic and the neighborhood, and one thing that one of the gentlemen mentioned was the environmental problem that may arise. So with that, I'm done.
Okay, Commissioner Gruber?
Well, we talked a lot about the traffic flow just in the parking lot. Forget Evergreen and 12 Mile. And I guess I don't understand, how do we ensure that the owner of that shopping center and the applicant work together to solve that problem? Do we just, I mean, if we pass it, is there any way to ensure that happens? Because it's a mess just inside the parking lot.
That's why we were suggesting a postponement, to kind of send a clearer signal that, like, if they want this to move forward, they're going to have to do something, positively engage that issue in a more...
Because the answers that were provided in the sheet that we got didn't address the traffic flow in the parking lot.
That was one of our recommendations from last meeting, and that's part of our decision process for tonight.
Okay.
Commissioner Martin?
As stated, we had two major issues at the first meeting with them, when we had just a general discussion of it. One was the traffic flow. So we asked for a traffic study to see what the traffic flow is and would be. The other was telling the builder of the gas station that they need to work with the store, the Kroger store, to do something about the traffic flow, because right now, everyone knows the traffic flow is terrible and something needs to be done. So we've asked that the developer and the Krogers get together to do something to try and mitigate the traffic flow problem within the parking lot and the traffic issue with traffic coming on and off of Evergreen. So those are two issues that we have, and part of our decision on that will come up and address those issues.
Commissioner Stevens.
Well, I've lived in Southfield for 42 years, and my favorite shopping store was the Farmer Jack's on 10 Mile in Southfield. Anybody remember that? Okay, that was around the corner. So then when they closed that, I had no choice but to go to Evergreen and 12 Mile. Sometimes I have to go twice a day because I forgot something. It is a disaster. We talked about that last time. Commissioner Martin has talked about it, Commissioner Gruber has talked about it, Commissioner Bernuti has talked about it, and I again will talk about it. The parking lot itself is a disaster, as well as trying to navigate coming across. I live at 10 in Southfield, so I have no choice but to figure out how to come down Evergreen, because I can't go down Southfield, because Southfield is now down to how many lanes? 1. Okay, so I just want to get my sugar and go home. How am I going to do that? I got to figure out how to get out the parking lot. The parking lot backs up all the way in front of the Kroger entrance. Then I got to figure out how to navigate to make the Michigan turn. And there's so many people, so people are coming across. Don't let it be rush hour. People trying to go to work. It's 1 lane on the other side of 12 Mile. Come on now, y'all got to do something about this. That's ridiculous. And I will say, I will publicly say, I will vote no. I'm done.
I'm sorry, the representative from Kroger, could I?
Please silence your phone.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, too.
Sure.
When we were last discussing this lot, it's just many questions, not just about the street, because one of our commissioners was concerned about the way cars would turn from the street. We talked about the flow inside of the parking lot itself. We talked about the availability of parking, how sporadic it is. We didn't talk about how you're going to get that huge truck in to get gas in it, but I'm sure that's a concern with all the commissioners. We were under the impression that there would be some way to address those concerns. We were looking for lines, we were looking for, and I appreciate your comment that you looked at it, and I don't know if you didn't see a need to. We just see that as a concern. And I'm not sure if it's the kind of concern we can overcome at this moment, but we see that as a major concern. And I'd like to hear your comment.
Yeah, so, on behalf of Kroger, we are looking at that one little parcel, that 0.77 acre lot. So what we're trying to do is make that lot work for our customers. So I understand that, based on the community and what you've just reiterated, that, some of these concerns are larger than just Kroger. And that's why we have been working with the developer. At this point, we haven't engaged a traffic consultant or anything like that. We have been in discussions about whether we're going to or not, and that's ongoing. But I think, we're asking for a conditional rezone, so I understand that, we're looking to be a gas station, but the other uses that are approved in this location are also going to, generate the traffic concerns that you're talking about. So, you could get a restaurant or, other things that can generate more traffic than this gas station. So that's why, we're saying, based on the facts, based on our numbers, based on the information from our other stores that we've gathered, all those customers are, I shouldn't say all, I'm sorry, 60% of those customers that are using the fuel center are already in that center. So, we can work with the developer. I'm not sure what kind of options there are, because like I said, we only have that one little bit, but.
I'm hoping you don't feel singled out. This commission would have a concern no matter because of the parking pattern.
Yeah.
And even, there are times when you're going to need a truck, snow removal for, I am trying to picture it, and I am wondering where that truck manipulates through the parking lot on a crowded day. So I just have concerns, and I'm not hearing them being addressed at this moment. And I'm going to do this. I'm not going to take all of the time. Commissioners, do you have any further questions based on that
No
conversation?
questions.
Commissioner Martin, do you have any further concerns based on that conversation?
Yes, we did ask for a study, and if a study hasn't been done, that was one of the things that we wanted. And here again, with what we have, I think our recommendation from the planning commission, from the planner is what we should stick by.
Okay.
I was just trying to find a date for a date
Okay.
certain.
Commissioner Stevens got it.
To the Kroger representative, yes, we understand that what it is you're trying to do. Unfortunately, you presented an opportunity for us to bring up a larger issue. And the larger issue has to be addressed in order for the community to support your endeavor. So please understand, it's not just the institution that you're representing. There's a larger issue going on in that location.
Any further questions?
No.
Further? Mr. Payson?
Yes, we should probably do the public hearing for the special land use, after which, if there are no further comments, you could make a motion on the items.
Mr. Payson, we've had a good deal of question on just this part without talking about the special land use. Would there be an issue if we took it all as one, or what do you think we should?
I think the way I wrote the motion, where you're taking all three and postponing them to a date certain, because they're all linked.
Okay.
Like, without the rezoning, you can't do the special land use,
Right.
because it's not a special land use without the rezoning, and obviously they can't build it without the site plan. Like, all three of them have to pass for the project to go forward.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about the postponement, I think you could do that in one motion after holding the public hearings for the special land use, for the special land use.
Thank you. Then with that, we're going to open up the public again for opportunity to speak. So if you could have a seat and stay with us. Thank you so much. At this point, I'll open the floor for public comment. Public hearing for special land use on the PSLU 24-0009. There anyone here that would like to make comment? Anyone in the public that would like to make comment? Sir?
Hello?
Sir, is there anyone here would like to make comment? Yes, if you may.
I'm Tim Fote, 24045 Woodland Drive. I've been a resident going way back to college at Lawrence Tech, and using the center, shopping at Kroger. There's a few uniquenesses when it was a bank that you would enter in, which would be on the right side, and you'd go drive through and go around. Now here you have two-way traffic going in and out in two separate spots. You have a two-way traffic going perpendicular to that, and that's just within itself on the site just does not work. Needless to say, you have egress coming in, but not exiting out, so you have to go across that lane, and then to get down to where you can get out onto Evergreen, it just doesn't make sense as far as from a planning standpoint. It's a congestion. You have two two areas of two-way traffic going into, in a short distance, another two-way traffic that's perpendicular to it. That just doesn't jive.
Thank you so much. Again, is there anyone else would like to make public? Yes, sir. And again, your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, David Williams, 200216 North Lackmore, Southfield, from the Kingsley Estate. I just want to remind the committee and that you should also take in mind what has already been approved. And I was trying to say that, but I wasn't sure if I communicated that real well. On Covington and Evergreen, across the street from our entrance, it's an open lot that was sold about 5 years before COVID came. And the plan was to build a healthcare brain injury. And that was, I don't know if it was because of COVID that development has not been done yet. And I'm thankful that it has not been done because it's next to the daycare. And you know there's a school behind that plot. And we already have issues with congestion. So if you change the site plan or whatever the number we are talking about now, whenever they decide to finish the completion of that approved, because it's been approved by the city council, the land was sold, and I don't know why they've not developed that. So that adds more congestion, traffic flow, and we lost on the graphic because we are the final 3 of the architectural graphic, because we fight for everything for our neighborhood, and we are trying to link that part of 12 and 11 mile by 696.
You have 1 minute.
Yes, sir, thank you. To the rest of the city center. And anything that would disrupt our possibility of keeping our neighborhood safe, environmentally proper, will not be good for us. And I've also stayed in the community or lived in the community for the last 35 years. And I've seen all the good growth. Majority of it are wonderful. So I thank you very much for listening.
I thank you. Again, if there are any more commenters? Yes, sir. Once again, your name,
Habib
address, and
Shamami.
you have 3 minutes.
29570 Middle Lane. I've been living in Southfield since 1976. We, the people of Southfield, we're not afraid of a Kroger threatening us, telling us that if we don't get this, we're going to take our gasoline from Southfield to Oak Park. And that's what I heard. That's what I missed the last point I wanted to mention. But I know we all live in Southfield, and we're not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of their threats. So I hope you make a wise decision. Follow up. The place is not for a gas station. They keep trying and trying and trying, and it's not going to work. She said a restaurant could cost more cars going through than gas station. I don't think she ever worked in a gas station. I did.
Sir, if I could ask you not to...
No, but I mean, to tell you the traffic that goes through the gas station, there's no other business beside Chick-fil-A or something these days that could cause more traffic.
Thank you.
So if you want more traffic into that center, instead of take their money and spend it inside that store where it needs it, then it's for your decision to be made. And thank you.
Thank you. Again, are there any more comments? Once again, are there any more comments for public? With that, I will close public comment. Mr. Faison.
As noted, we're recommending a postponement to a date certain since the public hearing's been held. That would generally be, because it would be a decision-making at one of your regular meetings. The meeting next month is, let me just check the calendar here.
June
The
5th, 12th, and
26th, I
26th.
believe, is, yeah, it's June 26th.
Yeah.
Or the one after would be July 24th. Since, what you're asking for is a traffic study, and they haven't engaged a consultant yet, that will take a certain amount of time. 30 days is probably not sufficient to both engage a traffic consultant, get a traffic study done, meet with the city and the city planning department and the city engineer, and try to work out some form of, once an analysis done, what the options are. I mean, you could set it for 30 days, and then in 30 days we could report back, and then you could always postpone again for 30 days, or you could postpone for 60 days, up to the July meeting. That'd be your prerogative. I doubt we'll actually have a solution to this problem by the end of next month, just given how long it takes to do that. I mean, even if they went out to market today to hire a consultant, it would take at least a few days to get them under contract, and they'd have to go out and actually observe the site and do counts, try to figure out what the actual situation is.
So with that, you're suggesting the 60 days is more of a reasonable?
They're more likely to be able to achieve what you're looking for, which is a more comprehensive analysis and solution to the issue. I think at this point we have a lot of anecdotal observation, but consistent anecdotal observation. What we need is some actual, hard facts to address what really needs to be done there in terms of a solution. What are the options? So from a realistic standpoint, the July 24th date is probably more realistic than the June 26th date.
To the chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we postpone to a date certain all actions on the PSZR 24-002, PSLU 24-0009, and the PSP 24-0005 to a date certain of July 24th, 2024.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a 100% favorable approval. This matter will be adjourned for, until the July date.
Yep, it will be on your July 24th agenda for certain, because you have postponed it to a date certain. We'll see what we have on the 24th of July.
To the chair, can we make certain that the planning commission, the planning department makes the contractor aware that the traffic study and the study for the Kroger store be completed for that?
Yeah, the person from the applicant here works for the consulting firm that has been handling all the design work, so they are present and they have heard, but we will also, I'll reach out to them as well I always reach out after the meetings with next steps on all of them.
The reason I said that is you got comments back from the consultants, but they didn't address the study that we asked for at the first meeting. So we want to make sure that they're aware that those items were requested.
Right, exactly. And I've been doing this for about 20 years, and I have seen this sort of thing happen before where you have a consultant representing one party, the property owner's a different party. The consultant only has so much authority to act without the property owner and their employer's approval. You've just sent a fairly clear message that they need to step it up and address this issue, or this is not going forward. So hopefully now the Kroger Corporation and the property owner will get more engaged and work with their consultant with us to get this study done and figure out if there is a reasonable solution to this problem that could resolve the majority of the issues.
Before we close this item completely, I had in front of me a petition signed by a number of residents. I want to make sure that we acknowledge that we are in receipt of that petition and that it will be made part of our record.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have it. It'll go in the file.
Thank you. I believe the next item is 28745 Northwestern Highway, reconstruction and reconfiguring an existing gas station. Mr. Pazin.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is another gas station. We've been getting a lot of gas stations lately. This is Northwestern in Franklin.
To the chair, I'm sorry. I wanted to make one comment, and I forgot to do it before. Just as a point of information, until Dreams, the marijuana store on the corner of 12 Mile and Telegraph was built, that was a gas station. There's a gas station on the north corner there and a gas station across the corner of the street. So there was that obvious corner where there were 3 gas stations. So coming up with not having 3 gas stations is not something that's new or unique to Southfield. We've had that before, so I wanted to make sure for the record people were aware that we have had corners that have 3 gas stations. That's all. Sorry for interruption.
No concern. This is an existing gas station at the corner of Northwestern and Franklin at 28745 Northwestern. They are looking to modernize. Really, the site is mainly what they're actually going to do is expand the building. They're going to add to the south to the building and then do some other site updates, and I'll get into those in detail. The pump islands and canopy are staying as is. The curb cuts aren't changing. A lot of the site features are not actually changing. The hours of operation will be 6:30 a.m. to midnight, which I believe is the current hours. Number of employees, 4 on the largest shift. One of the reasons this is coming to you is the expanded building. They're looking to do alcohol sales, and they're looking to do a carryout restaurant, which triggered the special land use consideration. The area is zone B3, so it already has the correct zoning. The future land use map is regional mixed use, which is consistent with the B3. This is the existing site as noted, like, other than the building expanding kind of to the south and a few other site changes, the actual curb cuts and pump islands and canopy are to remain the same. I believe even the underground storage tanks, none of that's being touched. It's really primarily a building addition and facade renovation. Existing conditions on the site, Marathon, pretty standard small C-store configuration. We see here they've got the building's going to basically, from its current location, expand sort of to the southwest a little bit. They're going to move the dumpster enclosure. Going to add there are the bike racks. I have a plan. Yeah, there's the bike racks in the corner there. They've got bike racks. They've got the dumpster enclosure moving. They're updating the landscaping. They're going to add down the bottom right corner there. They're going to add a pad and trash can and bench for the bus stop that's down there. They are triggering the public art condition, so there'll be an art piece in that corner. You kind of see in the bottom south corner where the landscaping is. So some updates to the site. This is the floor plan to the building. The top is the north facing toward the pumps. As you see, you come in the middle into the racking, you got the coolers in the back. As you come in the doors, it'll be on the left side of this image, the cashier. The right side will be the carry-out restaurant with its kitchen. These are the elevations. They are looking to freshen up the facade a fair bit, going with a cultured limestone, brick, and I believe hardy plank, a little bit of ephes. Come on, there we go. There we go. And it's basically going to be like it's more or less a gas station addition, but adding that alcohol sale and carry-out use is really what triggered us to go, okay, this is not just a site plan issue, it's also a special land use issue. So we are looking at, for this particular project, special land use approval and a site plan approval. I believe the petitioner is, or the representative is present.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Nasser Shukair, 3241 South Telegraph, Dearborn. I'm representing Mr. Najib Fadl.
I'm sorry, could you speak into the mic? I'm having a difficult time hearing you.
Okay.
That helps.
So I'm presenting my client, Mr. Fadl. And I would like to talk about this gas station. It's an existing gas station. I know Mr. Pezan talked about it, but I would like to note that this gas station is a really tiny gas station. It's about 500 square feet. We're tripling the size of like 1,600 square feet, adding a small kitchen carry-out only. And we're putting some.
I'm sorry, sir, could you lift the mic up? I think we're having just a heck of a...
Now, like,
Thank you.
okay, I'm sorry.
Not your fault.
Okay, so we're enhancing the site in terms of landscaping. We're putting a piece of art in there at the, I believe at the southwest corner. And we're following what me and planning went through step by step through this design. And I'm seeking getting approval tonight on this. This would be really a good project to do. We're putting a modern building look with the freshening up the, I would say, freshening up the whole site to a better looking and enhancing the area around it. I'm here for any questions.
Okay. Then this is the special use request and site plan, so that would open the door for any public public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to present to council? And if I could ask you to just step aside for a moment. Is there anyone that would like to present the commission relative to this item? The floor is open to do that. Hearing no one, then the floor is going, is there someone coming this way? No. And seeing no one, yes.
Tim Foe, 24045 Woodland Drive. My question is how many liquor stores do we need within such a small radius? You have one that's just down around the corner, that's solely a liquor store. Then you want to introduce this one here, you just have the new Cloverleaf down at 12 and Telegraph. I got to get my clients in there somehow. But anyway, that's my question, and I'd like to have that addressed.
Thank you so much.
Through the chair. If, when the council was entertaining this idea last year, they didn't entertain the idea of distance requirements. So that wasn't passed or included in the ordinance.
It was discussed, but they opted not to do it.
Okay.
Because it would have eliminated, there would have been almost no point in authorizing alcohol sales at gas station because the existing CVS's, grocery stores, liquor stores would have effectively prohibited all of them anyway. So it was determined if they were actually going to allow beer, wine, and liquor sales at gas stations, putting a distance requirement on it effectively would have eliminated the use and would have been a pointless action. So that was really why they're looked at it again, and we did a radius map recently, and yeah, effectively, like if you start looking at all retail sales of alcohol, not on premise, but package sale for consumption elsewhere, and you start putting distances between them that are required, you make almost all of them non-conforming. Unfortunately, it's just, there's a lot more actual beer, wine, and liquor sales in most communities than most people realize, because they forget that like CVS sells and the grocery stores sell and Target sells, and it's one of those situations where once you actually pull the state list and actually map the licenses, yeah, you'd make that setback distance to not make everybody non-conforming would be like, all right, 150 feet. Well, there's really no point in having that as a restriction. You wouldn't really be limiting it much. So it was discussed, but at this point, when they originally adopted that last year, they decided not to do it. It's been talked about since then, and really it's not practical. All retail sales of beer, wine, and alcohol really are by state licensing equivalent, regardless of what kind of building they're in or what other businesses they're associated with.
Okay. With that, the opportunity for public is closed. Commissioner Martin.
Just as a point of information, we have approved liquor sales at the gas station on 12 Mile and Northwestern, which is in the planning stage for rebuilding, which is basically across the street from this gas station. So, here again, the distance makes it a moot point. And if you look in other communities, if you go down any major, if you go across Maple, every gas station from I-75 west to Southfield Road has beer, wine, and liquor in the gas station. So, you know, this is something that's statewide. It's going across the state because the state liquor commission in the state allowed it. So having a moratorium on them or reducing the number of licenses is putting Southfield at a detriment to the businesses, because the businesses want it, not necessarily the individuals want it, but that's what people do for business to try and have more availability to sell products. And the only way they're going to make money is to sell their products. And if they can pump gas and sell alcohol at the same time, that's what they want to do.
Commissioner Stevens-Gunn, any question?
To the petitioner?
Sir, if you could come back up.
I stopped by your station probably a couple weeks ago, and it's really, really tight. It's really tight. So I see the expansion, and I guess I'm concerned. I see the layout, but it's still going to be kind of tight on that, in that area. Have you talked with the people who own the property behind the station, where there's they've got parking, so after business hours, or will they be interested or willing to allow you to use some of those parking spaces so people can run around to go into the establishment to make purchases?
So, I believe we were meeting the parking requirement, if I'm not mistaken. So the kind of facility that they're using, the carry-out restaurant, it's, I don't know if you see them now in most of the gas stations. What they have a kitchen, they cook and put everything in a warmer. So people, they grab they don't wait for their food, they just grab and go. So, but it's more fresh.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm suggesting is, I've been there during busy times, and it doesn't flow really well. So what I'm asking is, have you talked with, or are you would be willing to talk to the people who own the property behind it, so I can park right there, run around, pick up my chicken, and then run back around? That gives a little bit more flexibility, as opposed to people trying to get gas, park, go get the chicken. It's just, it's congested. It's just really tight. That's what I'm suggesting. It appears to satisfy the requirements for what you're requesting. I'm just looking at other opportunities for citizens to be able to visit your establishment during busy times. That's all I'm asking.
I doubt. I mean, I would ask the owner if he approached the party next door, but I doubt that they would lease him or give him any, because I doubt anybody, like, I mean, it's gonna be like a little bit confusing, because he needs to meet his requirement, we need to meet our requirement. So it's gonna be like, I don't know, I have to ask the owner about that.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bernuti.
Yes, thank you. The last time that we met, you mentioned that you were going to outsource the food products or the restaurant or whatever. Do you have any additional information about that?
At the time being, not really, because it's a small facility and it minimizes any franchise, or, I mean, it minimizes the options for any big franchise to come in, because the kitchen and the area that we're using does not probably exceed 400 square feet. So probably it's going to be a a Chester fries won't even go in there. There is other, like, probably chicken places and sandwiches that would go in, not big franchise into that.
And in reference to the size of the building, how will you store the addition of the liquor and beer and all of that? Where will it be
We're not
stored?
serving any beer or liquor in there. It's only a gas station with a convenience store.
No, I mean, you want to add to the liquor, to have liquor as well as beer, right?
That was part of the request, that they want to be able to sell retail beer, wine, and liquor, not for consumption on site, but get your six-pack and go home.
Okay.
That was on the request.
Yeah, but if you look at the floor plan, there is enough inside we have like a lot of storage in the cooler at the back. This is an 8-foot cooler, so all the area in the back, it would be shelves for stocking, and you have the stock room next to it, and the kitchen for the restaurant. I mean, there is a lot of space for stocking there.
So all of your product will be stored there? There won't be-
Yeah, I mean, like every other gas station that we deal with, they have their weekly loading, their product inside their facility.
Okay, and what will your hours of operation be as?
12 o'clock.
Pardon me?
Till, from the morning till 12 o'clock, morning 6 o'clock till 12.
Does that also include the liquor sales?
I'm not sure about the liquor because you bring always up the liquor, but to my knowledge now, there is no liquor or beer is going to be selling inside that facility.
Thank you.
Did he?
Yeah, he put it on the application, he wanted the
he did
approval.
put it in there? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm the architect. I did not know if he put it in there or not.
You wanted the option to be able to sell beer.
The
wine,
option, yes, probably, yeah.
And it may be that, like, if he doesn't sell enough volume, he might not continue to do it, but it was in the written request from the applicant, so we included it in the public notices.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The carryout restaurant would also require that, the special land use as well, so whether it was carryout, whether or not he was gonna require the beer, wine, and liquor, he needed a special land use regardless, so it ended up here anyway, but almost every gas station so far, except for one that I've talked to, well, not the Kroger Fuel, obviously, because they don't have a C-store, but one other one, they're all looking to add this because it diversifies their product line potentially. They may not all keep doing it long-term. It's one of those things where, like, there are trends in retail. Everybody will be like, oh, that guy's making money to do that, and then everyone starts doing it. It turns out not everyone can make money doing it. So it may be one of those things that caps itself out eventually. But as Mr. Martin noted, all over the state and many other communities, every gas station you go in, it sells at least beer and wine. Or at least beer.
Excellent, thank you.
Commissioner Gruber.
No, I have no questions.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, I think the elevation is really attractive. I think we should have gas stations that look that way instead of the traditional gas station look. There was a building I was critical of a month ago that would have been an ideal picture of, but I first of all commend you on that building.
Thank you.
During construction, will you close?
Yes, of course.
For how long?
I would put a project like this for 90 days.
Okay. And with that closure, you have tanks. Will you empty your tanks, or how will you protect?
Tanks are gonna stay in there, but there is one little one in the back that's gonna be removed, and that would be monitored by the state when we remove. There is a small one in the back behind the building. So that is gonna be removed because the building is sitting right there.
So you're looking to open for business about 90 days after you begin construction?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to assume you can begin construction, assuming you get an approval from City Council.
What was that saying?
I'm assuming you'll start as soon as you get approval from
Yes,
City
of
Council.
course, yes.
Okay. How many employees?
For the time being, at this size, 1 to 2, but when we be at that size, it would be like about 3 to 4.
Okay.
Not all day even, sometime.
Last question. I know you're in a site that you've been in. Have you ever, do you have security concerns? And have you done anything to either enhance security or to make sure your employee and your property is safe?
I think the only So sometimes the only way we can put safety in there if we put bulletproof on the counters at night. And during the day, they open them. And that's how everybody is doing it for safety. And it's only the owner's option if he wants to put bulletproof or not. Because some workers, they don't want to risk it after night, like if you pass like, when it gets dark, they're scared to be there. So a lot of people, they don't want to work without a bulletproof. So that's an option if the owner, because this is a family business, maybe him and his family is going to be there. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, would that generate any further questions? Commissioners?
Yes. At present, if I understand correctly, you're not aware of the liquor request, so you don't know if they've applied for a liquor license?
Give me a second, let me see. No liquor. You just text me.
Okay.
So for now, for the time being, there is no liquor.
Yeah, well, we'll reach out to him and have him amend his application and amend the notices for council if he's withdrawing that request.
Yeah, they throw it in because probably if in the future someone leases the gas station like 10, 15 years, if he retires and he want to lease it, he wants to put a liquor, then he have that option. That's, I think, why they put
Well,
that.
he either has to keep it in the
a-
request or not keep it in the request. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, so I mean, if he's saying no, then he can amend that application and.
I'll reach
just-
out to it tomorrow for clarification with the owner.
We'll put only restaurant in there, because that's why I was like confused. You were saying liquor, and I know the guy does not sell liquor, so.
Well, you can't right now. You couldn't do it until he had this approval.
Well, I thank you so much. You can have a seat, and Mr. Payson.
Thank you.
As we know, we are looking at a special land use and site plan approval. The special land use, we are recommending favorable recommendation of the special land use for the existing gas station convenience store to add beer, wine, liquor sales, and carry-out restaurant. In this case, if he wants to withdraw the request for beer, wine, and liquor, well, I would need to hear that from the owner, not the architect, because the owner is the actual applicant. He paid the fee, and he's not here today. So I'd be loath to take it off without getting something filed from him. You can proceed with the recommendation as I've stated it, and then if he wants to withdraw that, I can take it off before it goes to council. So you can make a recommendation to approve it with both the carry-out and the liquor beer, wine, and liquor sales. If he decides he doesn't want to pursue that, I'll remove it from the request before it goes to council.
My question, this is an open meeting, and under the Open Meeting Act, we will make a decision. Would you have the freedom to make that kind of decision once we approve of a?
The applicant always has the right to withdraw their request.
Does it have to go back through for another approval?
No, I mean, you could, if you make, this is a recommendation. If you're making final action, that'd be one thing. But this is a recommendation. And if he wants to withdraw part of his request, he has the right to do that as the property owner. Now, whether or not that causes council any heartburn, if anything, I over-noticed the request, basically. You can always approve someone for less than what they asked for. You can't approve them for more than what was in the notice.
Okay. Then, any questions generated from that conversation? Then, can I get a motion for special land use and for site plan?
We have to do
Do we need to do them separately, motion for separate?
Yeah, we have the special use motion, and then there'll be the site plan.
Then I'll ask for a motion for special land use.
Oh, I'm sorry. To the chair, I make a motion for favorable recommendation for PSLU 24-0010. Thank you.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, it would be unanimous. Then I would also ask for a motion.
No.
A motion that we accept a favorable recommendation for PSP 24-0006, the site plan review.
I second that.
Ever,
I'm sorry.
didn't we have to get the planning recommendation?
It's on the screen. I can summarize it if you'd like. It is a favorable recommendation. It does meet the general criteria for approval for site plan in this district. It would be conditioned on the special land use being approved, the plans before you, perpetual maintenance agreement being entered into, and compliance with any crime prevention bureau recommendations of the police department, and continuous compliance with all applicable ordinance codes, laws, and statutes.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
That's
Was the
been,
motion second?
we have the second.
Okay, out of here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Then that is unanimous approval. Thank you. I think I've lost my place. We're on the second page. We have a site plan, nope.
Public hearing, PZR.
We are looking at 28600 Lasser Road, public hearing PZR 24-0003, request of Southfield Christian School and Highland Park Baptist Church for rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a rezoning request for the Highland Baptist Church and Southfield Christian School at the corner of 12 Mile and Lasser. The site is actually split zoned presently. I'll show it here. The north part of the site is RM, multiple family low rise. The south part of the site is R2 residential, which matches the surrounding homes. The future land use map is actually low density single family, which matches the R2 zoning, not the RM zoning that's on the northern half of the site. The school and religious institution use are allowed in the R2, but they are not allowed in the RM. So for them to be able to later do the athletic fields and the other activities related to the school on that site, it really needs to be rezoned to match the rest of the site at R2. And given that that is their long-term plan, that would make sense. I note in the previous request up at they were retaining a little bit of the RM kind of up in that northeast corner, but it wasn't not enough acreage to actually make a developable RM site. You needed at least 2 acres. And they were going to use that for accessory mission housing for their missionaries. And after discussing it internally with the planning staff, we allow rectories and other, like, convents and monastic buildings as accessory to religious institutions for housing for the people who have religious vocations as a normal accessory activity on a religious institution. So it was determined, like, as part of an approved religious institution with site plan approval, they could do that accessory housing without retaining the RM zoning. So we suggested they just rezone the whole site R2, and then later on, if they want to do that housing, they just have to come in for a revised site plan approval to include that. Because they were just looking at a small building to be able to, right now, that building that you see kind of by the parking lot over there, that's their current mission housing. That's where the missionaries stay. So that building is apparently getting old, and they wanted to maybe potentially replace that with another building if they had enough funds later. We said, yeah, that would be accessory housing like a rectory or a convent or a monastery, I guess, for lack of it. If you had brothers living on the site. So that was something we could work out on a large facility like this. I mean, it was very common for Catholic schools to have nuns living on site. That was super common up to a couple of decades ago. So it isn't unusual for that to be the case. And rectories on church properties are still common to this day in some religious institutions. So it was, as long as that residential was of small scale and accessory to the religious institution, it would be something we could consider, because of the way the code's written, it's religious institutions and schools and customarily incidental accessory uses. So they're going to go all R2, which actually solves a complexity, because that little piece of RM they had left was just kind of an odd situation that was hard to explain. So they did amend their application and gave us this revised plan, which is right here, showing that whole northern part. It now doesn't have the cutout. It's all going to R2. So the entire parcel will be zoned R2 as a result of this.
Okay.
So that is a simplification of what was before you last time. And then I believe the petitioner has a representative present.
Thank you so much, and could you give your name and your address?
Yes, of course. My name is Gina Van Tyne. I'm with Inform Studio, 235 East Main Street. That's Suite 102B in Northville, Michigan.
Okay, if you could add to...
I really don't have anything to add. Mr. Payson pretty much spelled it all out for you. We decided that we would go ahead and rezone the whole parcel, and that would be contiguous with the rest of the site. So it's pretty simple.
Okay, okay. This is a, what is this, rehearing for zoning? Then I'm going to ask you to have a seat if I could, and then open up the public to have an opportunity for the public to make any comment. That opportunity is open now. If anyone wishes to make a comment. Seeing no one, that opportunity is now closed. Thank you. Commissioners. Commissioner Bernoulli.
Thank you. I have no questions. I think the parking is very good for rezoning, and the location is excellent, so I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Gruber?
No questions.
Commissioner Martin?
In the event that building is done for the missionaries, how many missionary apartments are currently on the site?
I believe it's more of a house they share with bedrooms, but Ms. Van Tyne would know.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Currently, there are 4 apartments in that building, and they have determined that that's plenty. So the only reason that they would look at, doing that is not to add more, but to replace.
So basically, they'd just be building a 4-bedroom house, or?
It's actually 4 different apartments. Oh, okay. So there would be 1 to 2 bedrooms in each apartment. That's
Single
currently
story,
what they have
2-story,
now.
you're just, right now, it's unknown, I take it then. Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm staying corrected. Withdraw my question.
No worries.
It would be subject to site plan review if they decided to do that,
Yeah,
so
they
there
have
would be a
no
level
plans
of
for that
review.
right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jeez.
They'd have to submit plans, and we do the whole.
Commissioner Stevens got it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience with us this evening. That's my comment.
No problem. No
Thank you.
problem. I understand. You get a bunch of these thrown at you at once.
Oh, yeah.
And you are in my neighborhood. I appreciate the fact that I think I recognized you as a championship sports team. It has been a school that I've known about for a number of years, and so I am glad that that this allows you to prosper, to continue what you're doing.
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
And again, with that, commissioners, are there any other questions?
No.
Okay.
24 athletes that qualified for a state meet.
Here we go.
Thank you. Mr. Payson.
Yes, sir. We are recommending favorable recommendation of PZR 24-0003 to rezone the 8.6 acres of land from RM to R2 to match the bulk of the site. It is consistent with the master plan for moderate density single family with that zoning at R2, and it would allow the northern portion of the site to be used for activities related to the existing school and church, which would be consistent with the R2 zoning as well.
Thank you. Again, with that explanation, I'm assuming there are no further questions. Can I get a motion?
To the chair,
Yes, Commissioner
recommend
Martin.
favorable approval of PZR 24-0003.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That would be approval unanimous. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Last and not least, is item I, 27200 West 8 Mile Road, drive-through restaurant to existing multi-tenant shopping center.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is at 8 Mile and Seminole. They're looking to add a Big B in the western end cap on this existing shopping center with a drive-through window. The hours of operation would be 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. The total number of employees, there'd be 16 to 24, maximum 5 per shift, just to kind of cover some of those bases. It is currently B3 general business, which is consistent with the future land use map at regional mixed use. And the use is a special land use in the B3, which is one of the reasons it's before you. Noting the existing site area, you've got a bank of parking out front, and then there's quite a bit of parking behind as well. There is a screening wall in the back already. This is a good site of the front of the existing shopping center. That one on the far left there at the top is the space the Big B will be going into. Then the area behind the building where the drive-through will stack. This is the end of the building where the drive-through window will be. A couple of items on the site plan that were addressed. That utility pole area that Mr. Martin mentioned last time, they've actually added a curbed island around that to provide additional protection and to direct that traffic out and around it into the stacking. And then we did double check with the fire marshal at Planner Crode's request just to make sure they weren't concerned about the lack of a little escape lane there. And the fire marshal was not concerned. That's only about, that area where the cars are stacked is maybe 40 feet, and they have plenty of access to it from Seminole or the parking lot. They didn't see the need for an escape lane in that case because they've got really good access right off of Seminole if they had to get to somebody in a car over there. And they weren't too concerned about it. Like I said, the fire marshal did verify that they had considered that and found it acceptable. As long as they had the lane around the building, they could get all the way around the building, which they can. The drive-through stacking still leaves them with a good enough lane on that side. Other than that, they're adding a pedestrian walkway from Seminole sidewalk over, because our point was a lot of folks are going to kind of come up from the neighborhood and probably walk over to the Big B, and they're going to cut through the drive-through anyway. So let's put an actual striped lane there and like a yield to pedestrian sign to make sure that people understand like the pedestrians are going through here and the bike racks there, because a coffee shop like that will attract some pedestrian activity. People are like, oh, let's go for a walk, let's get a coffee. So, and there's a pedestrian access at the other end off of 8 Mile that goes to the other end of the shopping center. They are going to be finding the bike racks there. So they are correcting some barrier-free markings and signage as well as part of this project. But otherwise, the site remains much as it is. There's a little decorative fencing and pier and panel system similar to what's out front going on the side over on Seminole as well. Just a floor plan for the Big Bs. You can see they come in the front. You got a small seating area, kind of standard for a Big B. Got the coffee prep area at the back of house and utilities. Landscape plan. They're going to be planting some new trees and shrubs along the Seminole side, and then freshening up the landscape a little bit in other areas. We will do, when they're finishing the project, we do an inspection before we final out the project. And if anything anything needs to be taken care of at that point before they get the certificate of occupancy, we have them take care of it at that point in the other areas. And I believe the petitioner is present. I believe Mr. Fote is the architect for this project.
And again, if you could state your name and your address.
Tim Fote, 24045 Woodland Drive, Southfield, Michigan.
Thank you. And what can you add to Mr. Payzon's?
He's pretty much covered all from the last meeting that we had, was to pick up the items with the utility pole, the barrier-free parking out front, the crosswalk, making that accessible, also adjusting and showing the dimensions for the drive aisle in the back to get out of, if you're in line, you have the access to get out of line. That's still a two-way or one-way traffic through the back. And then we did close off the right turn out onto Seminole Street, which was a recommendation from the last meeting. Right. Otherwise, it's pretty much covered what's there.
Okay. With that, I'm going to have to open the floor for public comment. I recognize that. So with that, the floor for public comment is now open. Seeing no petition, no one in the room, the floor is now closed. Public comment. Commissioners, let me start with Commissioner Stephen Gunn.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I only drink 1 cup of coffee in the morning.
Commissioner Martin.
Can you go back to the slide before with it had the interior floor plan?
That one?
Okay. Okay, thank you. Where is the, with the drive-in window to order, where's the ordering? I need to go back again, yeah. Where is where would you order?
The order board.
You don't, do you get to the window and place your order, or do you?
Oh, no, there's a sign in the back where you'd place your order, you'd be in line, queued in line, and then you pick it up at the window.
I think it's this little panel right here, maybe?
Well, that's where it would be, because you have to place your order to get in line, and that, yeah, I guess I didn't identify that, but that's where it would be, you're correct.
Yeah, we should probably just throw that on the plan so it doesn't come up at city council, just to make it super clear where the order kiosk is.
Yeah, that needs to be identified for city council.
Because there's that little panel right there, I think might be it, but it's
Yeah.
not labeled.
Okay, no, that's fine.
And the window.
The window's gonna be down here. You
Yeah,
can
the
see it
win-
kind of
there
on the
was
floor
a-
plan, it's right here, but it'd be good if it was shown. Just kind of like a double line with a label
There
that
was
just
a
says
second
pickup window.
sheet to the submittal package from our original, from the meeting, that showed the south elevation and where the window was going.
Oh, yeah, I don't think I have that in the presentation, but it's
Yeah,
probably in the
it's-
packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the elevation in the packet.
So I
It's
can-
not in,
I
it
can-
wasn't in, so that was.
Because I only sent the site plan for this meeting. I didn't send the second sheet, so I'll do that and follow up.
And
Must have been in one of the earlier submittals. Oh, yeah, it's in the small version.
okay. In the,
It's teeny tiny on the sheet,
Okay.
then you can see the window on the side.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna add it all.
And then the floor plan that was shown, that was just for reference. That's our general, how they lay out a Big B store. This will be modified to the current space that's there, existing.
I understand what you're saying. We didn't have floor plan. All we had was a box, so it made it difficult to.
Oh, that was part of the original package that we sent through, so anyway, that's fine.
Blame him, not me.
No, I'm not blaming anybody.
Yeah, there were with multiple submittals, we'll have to get an updated full
Yeah.
submittal that's
Okay.
consolidated
No,
for the
that's
most
fine.
current prints,
That's fine.
because the problem is getting it 3 or 4 sets like that, is it doesn't always get collated.
Yeah. The other question I had is, right now, there's the landscape, that tree, and that's on the side of the building, so that's where you put it in the driveway, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the handicap space that you have, that's there for parking, is actually further down there's
Further
no
down the
handicap.
center, that's correct.
Okay, so you're not planning on having any walk-in handicaps? I guess my thing is, the parking lot has handicap spaces in it, but they're a ways away from
Yeah.
the actual location for.
Well, in a multi-tenant retail center, no matter where you put the handicap spaces, they're closer to some doors and further from other doors.
So you don't worry about it, okay?
Yeah, as long as there's a handicap accessible route to that door.
Okay,
But the problem is, like, if you put it by the Big B, now the stuff at the other end isn't accessible.
Yeah.
Putting it in the middle makes it the closest to every door.
I got you, I mean, I understand,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a hard one to crack.
Well, there's rules as far as, I believe it's 150 feet.
Yeah.
In some spaces from the front door to an accessible parking space.
Yeah, there's maximum distances
yeah.
where you have, that's why you'll see in large facilities, they'll have multiple banks, because they get beyond that point, they have to stick in multiple banks.
I just wanted to make sure that we're covered in that,
Yeah.
within the limit that you mentioned. I'm not sure what it is, but, I'd hate to have us approve something that's not there. It doesn't exist.
This was reviewed by the building department. They found this configuration acceptable. They're the ones who, because that stuff's spelled out in the Michigan Building Code. So
Okay.
we do have to rely on the building official a little bit for that, in terms of those travel distances.
And if I heard you correctly, you've done away with the right-hand turn onto Seminole from the drive-through lane?
Yes, that was a recommendation from the planning meeting that we had.
If you look here, it's actually, he's actually changing the geometry of that driveway to make it push them south. So if you look at the revised site plan, not that one, this one, right here, you see that that driveway now kind of curves to the left. And yeah, could someone still make a right turn? But yeah, but it's discouraging that as much as possible. And there
there's a
is
sign,
no,
it's no
yeah,
right
no
turn.
right turn signs on both sides. So it's,
So the drive-through would be to go back across the front of the building?
yeah, they would come
Okay.
down to the, out, either back out to 8 Mile, if that's where they came from, or back around to the front of the building if they want to park, I guess. But yeah, it would be, so they go, this arrow's an out, and then this curve encourages them to turn left.
No,
and to head
no,
back
no,
to 8
no.
Mile.
I'm talking about the drive-through, the windows on the side, right?
Yeah, windows here.
Okay, and when they pass the window, they're gonna turn to the right or to?
Yeah, they're gonna turn to the right, or they could turn left. They could
But
actually
that-
turn either direction, because it's two-way in the front.
Okay, well, our problem before was that they were so close to 8 Mile that that was an issue with them turning to the, coming out to the drive-through and turning to the right onto Seminole because it was too close to the corner.
The thing about drive-throughs is, while people stack up going into a drive-through, they're released on an orderly, limited fashion. They don't like let 7 cars go at once.
Well,
You get your coffee, you go. The next guy pulls up, they get their coffee, then they go. There's an interval between each car being released from the drive-through that gives time for them to clear.
with traffic flow across 8 Mile,
Mhm.
and there's a traffic light down the street, so if traffic is flowing across 8 Mile, you have a better chance of having traffic stack up to turn onto Seminole and 8 Miles right there. So you can actually block traffic with the light change on 8 Mile, traffic headed to the west. You're blocking traffic that would turn onto 8 Mile. So you can have the people in line, even with the break between cars, you could have people stack up. Is that going to present a problem for traffic on 8 Mile and on Seminole for people wanting to turn right on the Seminole, and traffic from the coffee line is blocking the street now? You see what I'm saying?
I mean, it could happen occasionally.
Well, before there was a problem with it because it was so close to the corner. Now you're saying they could turn left or right, and we were saying that we didn't want the right-hand turn before in the prior meeting because it was going to block 8 Mile. It was going to block traffic.
Well, my understanding is we didn't want people turning right and cutting through the neighborhood. So we didn't want them turning right on Seminole unless that's where they came from. I mean, going out here, going back out to 8 Mile, the shopping center does that now, they just don't have the drive-through. So, I mean, that's currently a problem with this configuration generally, where the curb cut for the shopping center is this close to the intersection. We typically require further spacing when they build new now because of that. I mean, you could encourage people to go to the other driveway and exit out to 8 Mile that way. I think there would be a problem closing that curb cut though, because that would limit emergency access to the front of the building. Like if an EMS unit or a fire engine has to pull across the front of that building, they don't want a dead end that long. So I don't think we can close that curb cut. You could put signs up telling people turn left only.
We were not closing the curb cut.
Right, but I'm just
We
trying to
were
figure out how
leaving
you
the curb
discourage
cut
people from turning
open.
right. Like, if that curb cut's open and you're coming out of that driveway and you want to turn right, you're gonna. You know what I mean? I don't know how we physically prevent that. That's my only question is what could the applicant do that would physically prevent that from happening? Other than just declining the project because you don't want to drive through that location. That's the only, I'm just saying, I don't know what I was trained in landscape architecture, and I just don't know how to design that issue.
Okay, all right. I'm done.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gruber?
Once you get approval, how long will it take for the project?
My name is Najee Gasso. I'm the owner of the property. We're hoping to start as soon as we get approval from you guys. I appreciate that. So.
Yeah, but how long will it take to complete
Oh, how long?
it?
I'm sorry. Should be about maybe 60 days.
Okay.
Yeah, to get all that stuff going.
Okay.
Maybe last year.
How many employees?
Commissioner Bernoni?
Thank you. I'm sure the other business owners in that plaza is going to be very happy to see you open. Will you be doing any other enhancements of any kind?
Yes, to the
Sir,
west
could you
of-
speak,
I'm sorry. To the west of the building, we're adding more nice wrought iron to match the front, and I think that would look very nice as well.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe Commissioner Martin, did you have a question?
I'm done. No, I'm
Okay.
done.
Just have one. Typically, how long does it take to go from one customer to the next? How much time?
I'm not sure, but I know I can assure you they're not busy as Starbucks or McDonald's, so, and they have a lot of walk-ins, and a lot of their customer will be from other tenants walking in. So I'm not sure exactly, maybe at, I don't know, 2 minutes, maybe, minute and a half between
Okay.
the cars. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can assure you they're not busy as, like I said, McDonald's or Starbucks. So.
Just looking for a guesstimate. I didn't think
Yeah,
anyone had
yeah.
a stopwatch with
Maybe
it.
buying the coffee from other places, so I guess about a minute and a half or 2 minutes for to complete the transaction.
Gotcha.
The industry standard I've heard for most fast food drive-throughs is 1.5 to 3 minutes, depending on the size of the order. Like if you just ordered like a regular coffee, nothing fancy, in a cup to go, they could probably turn you in a minute, minute and a half. You figure that you gotta pay, there's a transaction that occurs. If it's something a little more involved or there's more items, it can, I think their goal, the average is usually like between 2 and 3 minutes. Like they wanna be below that, because then the customers will just keep going, like it takes too long. They just don't wanna.
Okay, okay. With that, any further questions, commissioners?
No.
Mr. Payson?
Yes, sir. Let me just slide past all these. Okay, here we go. On the special land use, we are recommending favorable recommendation of the special use by Grand 8 to reconfigure the existing multi-tenant center to have a Big B Coffee with a drive-through on the west end of the building. We do believe it is consistent with the standards for site plan or special land use approval in the B3 district. The subject to approval of the planning, the site plan by the city council, continuous compliance with all applicable codes, law, statutes, and their hours of operation, they've told us is 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Thank you. Can we get a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve PSLU 24-0011, public hearing, special use.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any, any not in favor?
No.
Okay. Then we have unanimous approval. Do we need discussion on site plan?
A motion that we accept the favorable recommendation of PSP 24-0007, the site plan review.
We have a second.
Let's second that,
Ready for?
along with coffee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. It looks like we have favorable approval for both, so I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck
much.
to you.
Consolidated plan set.
Can you have his document back?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Next agenda item, minutes.
Yep, we have 2 sets of minutes from April, the study meeting on April 10th and the regular meeting transcript on April 24th that were sent to you. I believe the secretary has them for signature if they pass.
Okay, we accept a motion for approval.
A motion that we accept the minutes as written for April 10th, 2024, our study meeting, April 24th, 2024, our regular meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved with unanimous. Mr. Pazon.
We do have the general public comment here. We should probably open and close even though no one's here.
That would be the second time. The floor is now open for public comment. As I see, there's no one remaining in the auditorium. The floor is now closed for public comment. Mr. Pazon, the next agenda item, council item update.
Yep, just a few things to note here. On Monday, because I was at the meeting, because Terry's out of town, we had the Greenfield Gateway signage we've been working on for a while. It was approved by City Council, so we'll be working on that. Little example of it there. It's going to be at 8 and 9 Mile on Greenfield by the Northland Development. We're working with the City of Oak Park to kind of create a beautification of Greenfield, do something with that boulevard to kind of dress up that corridor. So this signage is going to be part of it. There's going to be some landscaping around the signage. We're going to do banners on the poles, pole lights, and some other, improvements as we can have funds available and can layer them on. And so that one's, it's a nice looking sign. It was designed by Sign Graphics for us. It kind of combines our logo and a little bit of the color scheme from ours and from Oak Park. It gives it a distinct identity. That was well received. In terms of things that were before Planning Commission last month, Superior Fence was approved on 8 Mile. The City Council was glad to see that building being put back into productive use by a company moving to Southfield, so that was appreciated. The 3835 Greenfield gas station was approved. One of the things that's involved on that project is the landscaping up at the corner of the intersection. They've agreed to work with us on a brick knee wall with a Welcome to Southfield sign on that corner. So that's coming along. That'll probably fulfill a portion of their art requirement to do that improvement to the site. We're still working on that with them. But otherwise, the site was well received. The fact that they had acquired additional land and were expanding onto the adjacent property to provide a modern gas station with modern amenities was appreciated. It seems like there's more reception to see the existing gas station operators modernize their facility rather than new ones being built. That's the impression I'm kind of getting from council. They're not, they also think maybe we've got enough gas stations, but they'd like to see the existing ones upgraded because some of them are small and they're a little tired and they just need, they need updating. And I would say one of the things we've seen with the passage of the ability to sell beer, wine, and alcohol is we've got existing gas station owners that are willing to make substantial investments in their property for upgrades. So, if the alternative is keeping them kind of old and out of date and kind of crummy versus having them updated, I guess I'm in favor of at least them being nice gas stations. The next item up was the ODD development for the outlet development in front of the Onyx office building on Telegraph near Farmbrook. That also was well received. That trend of filling those parking lots with additional development. Really, like yourselves, the city council sees that as a coming trend. They see a lot of empty parking lots when they drive around the city too. And seeing some more tax base and employment's superior to seeing stuff that's just generating stormwater and a heat island effect. Hooper Boulevard, the Wellspring development, that passed unanimously at council. They had it at their study meeting between their two meetings because they had questions and concerns still, but those all got responded to effectively and that was unanimously approved. There were some I would say Councilwoman Hogue did an excellent job of explaining the value to the community and the fact that we can't just throw people away. We have to have a better option than that. I thought she said that pretty well. And I respect that. Miscellaneous, we've got next month, we got a study meeting on the 5th. We got a long-range study meeting on the 12th. And on the 12th, I'll be bringing you the site plan review procedure changes. I just finished drafting those today. I have to touch 28 sections of the ordinance. It's 35 pages long. So a good time. And then we're also going to be looking at the marijuana retail operating hours and fence ordinance with regard to height for security fencing. Unlike the last couple times we did amendments, I'm not combining those all into one amendment because those are three totally different things. So all the site plan amendments will be one amendment. The marijuana hours will be another amendment. The fence will be a third amendment. Because, those are such different issues. I think you need to be able to vote on them separately. Also, it's just easier to explain them that way. You put them all together and it's hard to explain to people why they're all lumped into one amendment. So we'll be bringing those in long-range study meeting to discuss, and if they're in good shape, I'm going to put them on the agenda for the regular meeting for action. If at the long-range study meeting we find out they need more work and they're not going to be ready for the regular meeting, we can always postpone, but I'm gonna put them into the public notice so that if we think they're ready, we can move them to council, and then council can look at them in July. We did get some dates, potential dates and times from the council president for the joint council planning commission meeting, and I just wanted to get people's thoughts on the 5 dates that were given to us for June 10th, 17th, and 24th, or July 1st or 15th, starting at 4 or 5 p.m., so it would be before a regularly scheduled council meeting. I guess that's kind of how it was done before. So they could meet with you in the study room, and then once that's done, they could convene in here for whatever their regular meeting is. Or if they have a study meeting that day, they could continue there at their study meeting. So are any of those dates blackout dates for you? Are there any of them that don't work at all? Do you prefer 4 or 5? My guess is they'll be, if it's 4 or 5, there'll probably also be food because council's gonna want to eat. So we'll figure that out.
Do you need a response to this now, or?
If there are any blackout dates, otherwise you could get back to me. I mean, you could email me with any if you want to check your calendars on these. We do need to kind of get back to council president so we can get us on their calendar because the 10th is their next meeting. So I need to get stuff on their agenda for the 10th. I would need to have something in to the administration by next Thursday. Because generally, like, to get on their agenda, you got to put something in with the administration about a week and a half ahead of the meeting. Because we have like a submittal, and then we have agenda staff meeting and council president's meeting, and then we have the actual council meetings. There's a lot of backward step on that. So if you could let me know, and I can put this out as an email to the whole commission so we get Goodwin, Dye, and Griffiths' feedback too, but I wanted to get it on the actual agenda to make sure people know we're talking about it. So please look at your dates, let me know. I will send that out as an email as well to the whole commission. And then once we get feedback on a date and time that seems to work for most people, I can then, and if we get more than one, or if we have an option of like 2 or 3 dates, I'll give that to council president, and he can take his pick on when to do that. But it'd be nice to get it done. June or July would be good. We could get it, going into the new fiscal year and kind of prioritizing accordingly, see what we need to be working on to be prepping for our annual report at the end of next year, So that's where we're at with that. And I believe that's all I have.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Savvy Slider presented to us. I'm wondering what's the status with their proposal. And we had a gas station, small grocery store on the corner of 12 and Northwestern. I haven't seen any progress.
Oh, the little triangle one that Mr. Martin was mentioning? We now have a different developer approaching us to do a car wash there.
Okay.
So apparently the gas station looks like it's not happening.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's our second favorite thing.
Okay.
Well, I think it competes between that and storage, right? So yeah, we got a car wash looking at that one. And they actually made their soft pitch to council at the study meeting, not this last meeting, but the meeting before. And council was receptive. And the council's response says, we'd rather have a nice car wash than another gas station. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. So that one, and now the Savvy Sliders on 12 Mile, they literally just contacted us again because they were trying to get permits, but they still haven't actually complied. According to what Terry said, anyway, they haven't complied with all the conditions of their approval with their revised site plans. We have a meeting with them, I believe, on Tuesday to go over the approved plans versus their current plans and see what's going on with that.
Savvy Sliders on 12 Mile?
Yeah, where that little bank branch was.
See, got a for sale sign up there.
Yeah, apparently they're now back, like they were, Jeff Spence handed that off to me when I started.
Yeah.
I contacted them to see what they needed. They said they were talking to corporate about different changes to the facade, the canopy over the drive-through, and there were some landscape issues in the place of fencing they were supposed to address. And they've done some of that stuff, but not all of it, and we haven't seen a revised plan from them, so it's one of those things where we'll hopefully, Terry will give them he's pretty firm on, like, you gotta follow your approved plan or you gotta give us revised plans. So I think at the end of that meeting, he'll be like, okay, I see all these changes you wanna make, submit revised plans, and we'll review them.
What about the one on 8 Mile?
The one on 8 Mile, that one's fallen through. We had an independent restaurateur who wanted to go in there, but they didn't want to do any of the site improvements. Like, we just want to reoccupy it and put a fast food restaurant in there and not do any improvements to the site. And Terry was like, no.
Okay.
That's not what was approved. So those guys literally wanted to spend they just wanted to spend money painting the exterior and doing their inside renovations, and that was it. And the landscaping there's looking tired, like it needs some, and the thing, the updates that it needs, landscaping and like a walkway and a bike rack are not even much. I think there was the escape lane around the drive-through was where they were balking, but once again, there's pavement there that needs to be redone anyway. So, you know, they just literally wanted to see what they could get away with, and Terry was just like, well, when you're ready to actually do something with this site, come back, but.
I have a question.
Just
If you're
as,
through, do you have any information that you could share so that I could share them with the residents in my building about the Ever Center right across the street?
I know there's a lot of going back and forth on that project to try to figure out how to make it pencil out financially. And the city administration has convened like a working group like they used to have with Northland Center to really work that. And they're meeting like every other week on that. So they're trying to figure it out, but apparently there's a pretty big financial gap because of the parking decks and things in terms of making the thing financially feasible for financing.
So the picture that's right there on the corner,
Yeah.
will it look like that when they find developers, or?
They've got an approved plan, it's just a matter of figuring out the financing for it. It's supposed to be multiple buildings, mixed use, and it really is like, the main problem is they haven't been able to close the financing gap to get the project to be viable. Like, they could start it, but they couldn't finish it. They don't have enough money lined up. So I know the city administration's looking at trying to put together a couple of projects in the same area to maybe get a transformational brownfield plan going that would give a bigger tax increment that would close that financial gap, but it's apparently tough going at the moment from what I understand. Like, they haven't given up hope on it, but there's a lot of work to get that financial component to work. And the last thing you want them to do is break ground on something they can't finish. Because the only thing worse than like no building is a half-finished building.
Absolutely. And the new monument right here on the roundabout, it's really nice. It looks so nice to have that back up. I just hope that a driver won't do the same thing and tear it down
Yeah,
again.
yeah, we were lucky the sculptor was still living and able to do the work. He actually reconstructed that. He actually said, I met with him, that's the gratitude sculpture out in the roundabout, the orange one. Yeah, he actually said he likes this version better than the original. He said, I really like, he said, I refined it a little more.
do you know what's going on with the obelisk that was on 11 Mile?
Dr. Massey, I believe, has either been approved to or has removed it for storage?
It's been removed.
Yeah.
He removed it last week, or earlier this week. He's gonna work on restoring it. He found that once he had it in storage, that there was more damage.
To the base, yeah, because the base was crooked, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so it's been removed, put into safe storage, and they're working on it.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, we have to we have to do stuff to the base to get it flat again, because the car hit it so hard.
Yeah, that massive piece of concrete, they actually managed to
Move it, yeah.
They were going so fast, so. Yeah, when I went out there after the accident, I'm like, yeah, that's not plumb anymore, and that thing is a massive piece of steel reinforced concrete. It goes deep.
Yeah, a lot of speed in taking it to that.
Yeah. Just as a point, we were talking about the June 10th meeting and the rush to get it. Why don't we just eliminate the 10th so that, because
Oh, good. That would be great, because I wasn't going to be able to.
Me neither.
Yeah.
eliminate the 10th.
It's probably too close to the 10th anyway to make it work feasibly, so let's just say
Yeah.
we'll look at the 17th, 24th, 1st, and 15th. I'll send that out to the commission and get a poll from everybody.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I mean,
And just let me know which dates you're available for, and then I'll see if there's one where like everybody's available, we can get at least 6 of the people. I know getting into summer, people got vacations,
I'm
I
on
know.
vacation all the time.
so.
No, I'm
one of
not.
those situations.
No, I'm not. No, I'm
I'm
not.
on vacation more than him.
Yeah.
And hopefully Kroger in the shopping center will get serious.
Well, as
Hopefully.
I mentioned to Dr. Stevens-Gunn, is I go to Kroger's on Maple and Losser. Forget about the one on Evergreen. And that's in my neighborhood, so.
Yeah. I've got a Kroger near me in Dearborn that I don't go to because the traffic circulation is terrible, just like that one.
I've heard a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Meeting is adjourned.
At 9 o'clock.
9 p.m.